Hello and welcome. We have a ton of new makeup that we're going through. None of these are first impressions. These are all things I've been using for the past, at least 2 weeks. So let's go ahead and get started. Definitely use the timestamps to skip to the sections you want and to see what's coming up next. So we're going to start off with this Sweed Miracle Powder, and I have the shade 00 Fair. And this was gifted to me. And you can see we've got plastic packaging. We have our Sweed logo here. And then it is going to be a mesh powder, like the cushion formula. And this powder here, again, it comes in a variety of shades. We do have some shimmer here. And this can be used as a setting powder, finishing powder, or a powder foundation. It's technically a powder foundation. I personally really like it as a finishing powder, but I have it on right now as a full face powder foundation. So let's take a look at the demos while we talk about the product. But first, I just want to show you when I use my finger to get the swatch, you can see how the powder it kind of melted together a bit there. So that's one of the things that makes this formula really special. So let's talk a little bit more about that. So just a few details as we get started. It retails for $45 US. And we have 7 grams of product with a 1-year shelf life, and this is made in Korea. So again, we have a few different shades that it comes in. And according to Sweed, it says it's the Miracle Mineral Powder Foundation, works like a magic filter on the skin. It gives a second skin feeling with a blur effect and natural glow. The formula is clean, free from talc and bismuth oxychloride, and will let your skin breathe all day without clogging. It's rich in antioxidants, minerals, and infused with vitamin C. It works on the most sensitive skin types. You can use it directly on the skin or on top of your foundation. Easy to build up for more coverage. By the way, this is also a vegan product. So the recommended application method is to use a powder brush and apply it in circular movements from the outer part of your face to the center. And yeah, overall, I think this is a really beautiful powder. Personally, I like this best as a setting powder because it does have some shimmer in here. When we're looking at the ingredients, the first ingredient is actually mica. And, it's just a little shimmery for me to use as an all over everyday powder foundation, but it definitely gives a really nice sheen. So for me personally, my favorite application method is to apply my foundation and then use a fluffy powder brush to dust this on top to give it a little bit of glow. It's actually going to have a similar finish to the meteorites on your face, the Guerlain meteorites. So it kind of gives you a little bit of that pearly finish without seeing any like glitter chunks or anything in there. Actually, I would have to say that the meteorites have more glitter. Some of them have more glitter in them than this does. This is really very finely milled and it's more of that pearly finish versus a glittery or shimmery finish. So just some things to note there. And I think it's a really beautiful powder. You can see the effect that it has on the skin. And I think that the sheen really helps give it a bit of a blurring effect. So let me know what you think. Let me know if you've tried this, but I really like the fact that there's no fragrance or anything added to this. It's really easy to use. It's comfortable on the skin. If you do want to use this as a powder foundation, it doesn't feel dry or powdery. As you could see, when I put my finger to the cushion, it kind of melts with your skin. And I think that's a really cool thing, but I think that's what makes it so comfortable on the skin and makes it kind of melt into it. So, because of that, you don't end up with any of that dry powderiness even throughout the day. You don't really have to worry about the powder fading off in spots. It stays even and consistent throughout the day. So I think it's a really great product. So just a quick comparison. These are the Guerlain meteorites in the new, this is the 01 Pearly White. So I wanted to show you this one just because, it's probably closer in shade to what I have in the Sweed. But this is going to be a little bit more white, a little more sparkly. So you can see the difference in the sheen. And just touching them, this definitely feels more like, a powder dust versus the Sweed, which definitely feels more like a creamier powder. This here is shade 3, Warm Doré, and let's just see how this one looks as well. And I'm specifically looking at the newer meteorites, because they have changed a little bit. So I do find that the new formula that is talc free, it just feels a little drier when you are, using your finger for it on the skin. You can't really notice a difference, but when you're swatching it, you can kind of tell. So that is 1 and 3. And let's take a look at 2 from this is 2, which has also been reformulated, but it is still prior to changing the scent. So just a little difference there. But this is number 2 light. And let's put that here. And you can see that's going to be kind of golden or yellow. So you can see the difference, not only in the colors, but also the texture and the finish of these powders. The Sweed has more of an ethereal, pearly finish versus the Guerlain shades, which you can actually see, hopefully it's coming across on the camera, you can see a little bit more like shimmery particles in the Guerlain, even though the overall appearance of the Sweed is going to have more of a sheen, more of that pearly vibe to it. It has more light reflection overall. So while we're talking about sparkly face products, let's move on to the Armani. This is the Luminous Silk Bronzing Powder. I have shade 90, and I picked this up, it's been a while now, but I have to say I haven't rushed to film this because I had to keep playing with it. I don't love it. The formula is totally fine. I like the formula. It's a nice, smooth powder, really easy to use, but it is shimmery, and this shade in particular is just a little bit too warm for me. So that's why I personally don't like it, but it doesn't mean it's a bad product. It is it's a very nice product. So let's take a look at some demos while we talk about this. So the Armani Luminous Silk Creamy Bronzing Powder retails for $58 US. It's a very nice, smooth, silky powder formula. You can definitely feel a little bit of moisture in there making it a creamy powder, but when they described it as a creamy powder, I would have to say it's not as creamy as I expect it from that phrase. So it's a very smooth, silky formula. And we do have a few different shades. This one here is 90 Golden Sun Rays. We have 18 grams of product, so it's definitely oversized here. We have a 2-year shelf life, and I have to say I was surprised to see it's made in China. And I don't think I have any other Armani makeup items that are made in China. I have some makeup brushes that were made in China from Armani, but I don't think I have any makeup. So I was a little surprised by that. So the tagline for this bronzer actually is a glowy long wear cream bronzer. So again, I don't feel like it matches the description of a cream bronzer. It's definitely more of a powder bronzer. And if you go into more details, Armani says it's a smooth, even natural faux tan glow. It's an ultra creamy bronzing powder infused with carrying oils for smooth, even application with a long wear luminous finish. This bronzer formula delivers an instant Italian summer glow. Formulated with micronized pigments that help to blur and smooth the appearance of texture, the ultra creamy powder melts into skin seamlessly and stays in place for up to 24 hours. Apply all over the face and eyelids for an effortless, glowy, sun-kissed look. And I have to say, I think it is a really beautiful product formula-wise. I like the formula. It does have a little bit of shimmer in there. I have to say, I see more of the shimmer in the pan than I do on the skin. You have to really use a lot to get that sheen, but if you are building it up and using it more as a blush on your cheek, you definitely get that sheen to the point where I don't feel the need to use an additional highlighter. So I think it's a really beautiful product. This particular shade 90 is a bit too warm toned for me. There's a little bit too much orange in it. So let's take a look at just a couple other bronzers. So far this year, I've picked up quite a few bronzers, and honestly, I still haven't really found a bronzer that I love from this year. So this is the Dior Forever Natural Bronze Glow in 32 Pink Bronze. Now, this center portion is shimmery, so I'm going to swirl these all together so we get that shimmery effect. And we're going to go vertically so we can compare it. Now, you can see between the two of these, the Dior is more of a peachy orange, whereas the Armani is more of a golden orange, but we both have those warmer vibes in there. And then we have the YSL All Hours bronzer, and this is in shade 01. And I think, again, really nice, great formula, but it's very light. I should probably move up to a different shade. And you can see texturally, this is going to be more of a velvety powder and not as creamy as the Dior or the Armani. Now, this is the Gucci in number 01 Fair. This is still my favorite bronzer, so I wanted to, we'll put this one right here. And you can see it's going to be cooler in tone. We've got a bit more pink, and it's going to be a cooler bronze in there, a cooler brown shade. So it's more of a rosy brown versus the orangier hues that we have in these other three. And then let's take a look at the new bronzing powder in light coral from Chanel. So I'm mixing the 3 shades together. Let's put it right here next to the YSL. So you can see that this shade, it does have a little bit, it's warm. We have a bit more of that warmer pink vibe in there. Let's just do these top 2 shades in there and see how that compares. So if we leave the pink out, you can see it's going to be a bit more orange, but you can see that the overall vibe of the Armani has more yellow versus the peachier portion of the orange, the more red portion. Okay, so one more time just to review. Overall, I think it's a really nice formula, but this color is just not right for me. We have shade 90 from Armani. This is Gucci 01 Fair, followed by Dior 32 Pink Bronze. This is the YSL All Hours in 01. And these two are the new Chanel Light Coral in the oversized Le Beige Healthy Glow powders. So this is all 3 shades mixed together, and this is just the top 2. So minus your pink blush. So those are the bronzers, and let's move on to our next product. So next we're taking a look at the latest Viseart palette, and this is the Paris Reveries Étendue, and this was gifted to me. So you can see the actual packaging here. We've got these beautiful images, like embossed images here of the Eiffel Tower. And yeah, so if you're not familiar with the Viseart palettes, personally the Étendue size is my favorite. So this is a magnetic closure. You open that up and you have all of your product details there. You have a mirror here. It does come with a piece of plastic on there. And then you want to save this plastic tray because you can see as it closes up, there is opening there. So just so no powder dust gets anywhere. And then I do recommend keeping it in these cases, although I have to say I don't usually keep them. But this one does have the names all over it. So it is useful. Now, another great thing about Viseart products is you can use a spatula to lift these, or you can just lift it with your finger like I did. So these are magnetic pans. They sell the pans separately. You can see there's a little lip right there for you to get in there easily without disturbing any of the shadows. So I have to say, this palette from Viseart, I love this. I think it is really, it's the perfect shades for summer. It's very new. It reminds me of some other palettes we've seen, like the new Dior Pastel Glow. So we're going to take a look at some comparisons as well. So I'm going to swatch this in just a second, but I do want to mention we're also going to be taking a look at the Bobbi Brown, the new eyeliners, because I did use them with the Viseart shadows so you can see the demos together. So let's start off by swatching this palette. And we're going to go, row by row. So our first shade is going to be a very light peachy matte, followed by more of a, you can see we've got a peachy pink, but it's a cooler toned pink in there. So, and this is going to be a shimmer. So it's really beautiful. We do have some peach, but we also have a cooler pink in there. So it actually ends up being a cooler toned shade. And our first shade here, this light peachy pink, it's more pink than peach. Now our next shade is going to be a matte. And we have this soft brown. It has a touch of rose in there, a touch of mauve. So then our last shade in the top row is going to be a true peach matte shade. And I think these shades are just so wearable, great for every day. If you're going for like light looks or just, for like a base. And then we have a pale matte lilac. And then this deep kind of a ruby purple shimmer. You can see we do have some red in this, but we also have kind of like red mixed with a little bit of purple. The next 2 shades in the middle row are also shimmers. We have a peach shimmer, and you can see it's just slightly deeper than the peach matte. And then this is going to be more of a champagne shimmer with a touch of peach in it. So it's going to be a lighter version there. And you can see we have a little bit of a nude champagne glow to it as well. Now, this last row here, again, we have a couple of mattes, and these are going to be deeper than what we've seen before. So we have a deeper brown here. It's not quite as rosy, but it's still cooler in tone. And then we have a soft, dusty lilac. So a touch of mauve in there, but a dusty lilac essentially. And then our last two shades, I have to say, I really love the shimmers in here in this palette. You can see that this is going to be more dusty lilac than the pink that we have in the beginning. There's a little bit mauve. There's some cool silvery hues to it, but it's actually going to be pretty neutral. So it's neutral, leaning cool. And then we have kind of this nice warm bronzy brown. It's like a golden brown shimmer. So this is the Paris Reverie Étendue palette from Viseart. I think it is absolutely gorgeous. We'll take a look at the demos for this in just a minute, but first let's swatch the new Bobbi Brown eyeliners. I picked up two of these. These are called the Longwear Cream Liner Sticks. So they have a very creamy formula like the eye crayons. And we do have a point. Bottom has your sharpener, and they are a twist up and down. And I picked up two of the shades. So this one here is Aubergine, and just so you can see how fine it is, it's super creamy going on. It doesn't have any like resistance or tugging. Now, when you put this on, you do want to make sure that it's closed all the way. So you can see I have a gap in this one. This one here is the shade Jungle. And Jungle, you can see, is going to be more of your olive brown. Or, well, it's an olive green with brown in there, like a bit of warm brown. So just something to note. But yes, you want to hear that click so it fully closes. And, let me show you how these smear at the beginning, but they do set down fully. So you can see you have a little playtime. You could even use these all over the eyes, but I think they work really nicely for an eyeliner, something creamy that sets to give you kind of that smoky look. Again, because it has such a creamy formula, it's not going to be super, super fine tipped. So let's take a look at the demos here. And as we're looking at the Viseart palette, so we have a 3-year shelf life on this palette, and this is going to be made in the US. So I think a 3-year shelf life is great. We have 18 grams of product because each of these shades here is going to be 1.5 grams, which makes these interchangeable with the majority of Viseart's other palettes. So you can easily mix and match from other palettes or create your own. They do sell shades individually as well. And I just think, Viseart shadows in general, I personally really like them. People always talk about their mattes because they're powdery, easy to blend. You get really great performance from them. But I want to commend the shimmers. I love the Viseart shimmers personally. They are just pretty, true to color in the pan. You just have some beautiful like classic shades. They work really well with the others. They're easy to blend out. They're finely milled, so you're not going to get like a bunch of glitter chunks. You don't really have fallout with most shades. I actually didn't have an issue with fallout with this palette, but it will depend on application. And I just love the way they arrange their palettes. So you have, like in this one, we've got some cooler shades, and we've got some warmer shades. Those peaches are a bit warmer. We've got some peachy pinks kind of in the middle. We have some cooler purples, the browns. We've got a mix of cool and neutral shades. So we kind of have a lot of bases covered here. And, these mattes, you can also use them wet to create like a darker eyeliner and so forth. And they just apply very easily. So I personally love Viseart shadows. I think they perform really well. It's a great way to get a lot of colors, to rearrange things to your own personal desires. And I just think they're really fun and easy to use. And they've got some really great palettes. Some of my favorite all-time palettes are from Viseart. And yeah, I think this is definitely one that I'll be using a lot. So I definitely have to say it's going up there in my favorites for Viseart palettes. It's still not the top, we've talked about my favorites before. The Violette Vespertine is a favorite, and the original Cashmere. Those are probably still my top 2 favorites, but I have to say this is going up there, and this is probably my 3rd favorite Étendue palette then. So yeah, I just think they are great. Now, according to Viseart, it says, take a stroll through our lush labyrinth of reveries, where scattered light lingers and soft petals unfurl within our hidden garden haven. Inspired by dreams of idyllic Parisian days wandering through secret gardens, our romantic reveries palette is serendipitously sweet with provocatively pared back hues. So they go on to say that the palette transports us to the heart of the city of love. And they go on to mention a few other highlights from Paris. And then they mention 12 brand new shadows glide on lids like the tender kiss of the softest spring breeze, capturing the essence of romance in every hue. They suggest mixing and matching this Reveries palette with their most recent Petit Four in Hesperides and Isolde to create your perfect pairing. And again, they are designed to be interchangeable with everything from the Petit Four, the Grande Pro 1X, and the Étendue series. So overall, I think it's really well designed. And as you can see, pairing the Bobbi Brown eyeliners with these works really well. So if you don't want to smudge these out, you don't have to. They will still set. It might take a little bit longer to set, but we're talking, like a minute. So nothing significant. Now, as I mentioned, because it's a very soft cream formula, think the Victoria Beckham eyeliners. It's that creamy to go on. If you want a finer point, you definitely want to take like a very thin eyeliner brush and, rub that against the tip of the pen and then use that pigment versus using the eyeliner directly on your eyelid. So just, something to note there if you are interested in something finer there. But I think this is a really great eyeliner to smoke out. And it does remind me of the Victoria Beckham, but it sets better and doesn't smudge. So the Victoria Beckham, I love them. I use them all the time, but I typically will use them on my upper lash line and smudge them out. If I put them on my lower lash line or my waterline, I have issues with smudging or transferring throughout the day. And I did not try the Bobbi Brown on my waterline, but I have used them on the lower lash line. I have used them for long days on the upper lash line without smudging them out. And I didn't have any issues with them in those applications. So I have to say, I personally really like them. I think they are a great formula, very comfortable and easy to use. And yeah, I think they're really nice. So as we're looking at the Bobbi Brown eyeliners, just a couple of details. These are made in Italy and we have 1.1 grams of product. Now, according to Bobbi Brown, it says, our waterproof cream shadow liner takes your eyeliner looks from sleek and highly defined to soft and smoky-eyed with swipe and go ease. Features a fine tip design that makes lining and defining effortless. Pigment-rich shades take color to its depth and level up every look. Built-in sharpener keeps your look on point. We have 24-hour non-settling, non-creasing, non-flaking, non-smudging, color true wear. And, I have to say, I think it's a really great eyeliner stick. I really like these. So right now they have several different shades, but I do hope that they expand. We see some more like special shades and so forth in the future. Right now we're looking at mostly your basics, your neutrals like grays and blacks and browns and so forth. All right, so let's go through a few comparisons. So this is the Hesperides Petit Four palette. So let me go ahead. I'm going to swatch this one. We'll swatch it vertically right down here so you can see that. So that's Hesperides. You can see they're very light, soft, muted, more of your rosy tones there, like more rosy neutrals. And then this one here is Isolde. You can see this one looks a bit more neutral. And let's see how this compares. We're going to put this right down below it. And you can see that this shade, at first it kind of looks like it might be similar to this one, but you can see it's a lot more nude. It doesn't have that cooler shimmer to it. And then, there we go. This is kind of a mix of these two shades. But you can see that none of the shades are the same, but you do have some similar hues. Now, one of the palettes I really wanted to compare it to is this one here from Dior. This is the Dior Pastel Glow palette. So let's go ahead and, we're going to put this right down here. Let's put the lavender here. And you can see the Dior lavender is a shimmer and it's a little bit deeper, but you can see we do have, you know, similarity. And then we also have a peach. We'll put that right there next to our matte peach. Again, it's shimmery in the Dior, but it is not in the Viseart. This middle shade, I'll just put this one, we'll just put it over here because it really doesn't go with anything in the Viseart. But that is our pale green that really looks more white. And then we have this shimmery, more of a deeper nude. It's closest to this deep peach here. And then a deeper bronze shade, which has a bit more red in it than the Viseart. The Viseart is going to be a little bit warmer, more of a golden hue. So that's the Dior palette. So I do think, although the shades aren't the same, you can get very similar effects from the Viseart palette. So I do think it's a good alternative to the Dior. Another one to look at here, this is the Chanel in 68 Délice. So we're going to go ahead and we'll put this right with the Dior as well. So we start off with this lavender shade, and let's put that right there. You can see here's our lavender. It's a little bit deeper, a little bit more pink. And then we have this peach, which again, it's going to be a little bit deeper and it's more of, it has more pink in it. Then we have kind of this coppery mauvey rosy shade. It doesn't really match anything in there. And then we have this soft pale gold. So again, you can get some similar vibes from that. And then the last one I want to look at is the Chanel Le Beige in Cool. So we're going to go ahead and swatch this. So this first shade here, let's see, this is our lightest shade and see how that compares to the lightest shade in the Viseart. But you can see the Viseart is more pink. The Chanel has a bit more peach. Then we have kind of this soft tone lilac-y shade, and we're going to put this all the way over here. But you can see it's really going to be lighter and more pink vibe than the lavender. It's actually more similar to this shade here, the second shade in the Viseart, but it is going to be lighter. Then we have this soft pink, and let's go ahead and we'll put this right up here. And you can see that is going to be a soft pink. Then we have this shimmery, deeper rosy shade, which doesn't match anything in the Viseart. And then we have a deeper purple. Let's put this one down here at the bottom. So again, it's going to be much deeper than the deep purple in the Viseart. So that's the Le Beige in Cool. So those are some comparisons. I hope that was helpful, but I have to say I do really love the Viseart palette. Now here are the swatches. We did have the Bobbi Brown, and you can see this is how we smudged it before, and it sets. I'm using a clean finger, by the way. You can see that nothing is coming off on the part that was smudged out. The part that we didn't smudge out, you can see is also holding up. So no issues there. All right, so next we're gonna take a look at some lip products. So we have the Mob Beauty in M1990. This is a lip pencil, and this is the same as the original Max by Shade that was created in 1990. So this is it. We're going to, you can see it's pretty creamy going on. You can smudge it, but then we're going to let the rest of that dry so we can let that set. And then while we're talking about that, we're also going to take a look at the new Sisley Refills lip balms. So I picked up all three of them. I do really like them. They come with one of these little velour cases. It's light pink. And I personally, my personal favorite lip balm is the Nutritive Lip Balm from Sisley. This is not that formula. You can see our packaging is the same as that of the Fido Lip Shines, but it's not the same formula as that either. So let's just see. We've got Clear. So this is number 1, Cloud. It's translucent. You can't see it. It's the one I've been using the most just because it's, you know, it's a clear lip balm. And then we have shade number 2, Pink Glow. This one is actually pH adaptive. So you can see it goes on very light, kind of like a light warm pink, but that will change. And then what's on my lips right now is shade number 3, Crush. And this is your Rosewood shade. This one is not pH adaptive. That is the shade. So I have to say, I do really like all three. For like a lip product with some color, this one's my favorite, number 3, Crush. So let's take a look at the demos and talk a little bit about these products. So let's start off with the Mob lip pencil. So Mob Beauty, you know, I haven't tried much from them yet. My first thing that I tried from them, I didn't love, but I did just recently purchase a lot of items. So we'll be trying those out. And this is shade M1990, which is described as a cool tone neutral. This is a smooth precision waterproof lip liner. And, you know, this is a clean beauty brand, so they really are conscious of their packaging and everything as well. So it's a plastic-free package and formula, and it comes in like a paper envelope. That's how your lip pencil comes. So this has a 1-year shelf life. It is a vegan product. It's made in Germany, and we have 1 gram of product. It retails for $22 US. So according to Mob Beauty, it says waterproof, richly pigmented, stay put all day color with no transferring, feathering, or bleeding. Easily achieve a precision line that never skips or drags, and smooth enough to glide and fill in your entire lips. 100% silicone-free, plastic-free formula and packaging. And it's formulated with all natural ingredients. It has antioxidants, nourishing, conditioning for your lips, non-drying wear, and so forth. So I have to say, I think it's a really nice lip liner. Now, this shade 1990 is the exact same shade as the original Max Spice eyeliner when it debuted. So the original chemist, he saved his color formula, I saved all of his notes and everything, and he is now a part of Mob Beauty. So he recreated this shade. The Max Spice lip liner that's on the market now is very different from this original shade. It's much warmer, more orange, and you can see that this is definitely going to be a bit rosier. Now, I do think it's still on the warmer side. You know, to me, it's not truly cool, but it's more neutral. They do claim it's waterproof. So I have tested that. It is waterproof. So this goes on, it's creamy, and then it sets and it stays put. It does not budge. However, it's waterproof, but it's not oil proof. So I like to wear my lip pencils, and sometimes I like to top them with like a lip gloss or something. If you are topping it with an oily product, you will still, you know, that it will not stay set. It will remove with oil. So when I top it with an oilier lip gloss, it doesn't have all day wear. Now, if I'm topping it with a lip balm, those don't seem to have quite as much oil, so I still get, you know, a long wear with those. But, you know, it's just something to note. So it's waterproof. If you're wearing it on its own, you know, it's not budging. But when it does come in contact with oils, you can have, you know, some wear and tear on that lip liner. Overall, though, I think it's a beautiful shade. I'm really happy that they brought back the original. I don't know that I've ever tried the original. When it came out, I wasn't wearing makeup at that time. So, you know, I'm not sure whether I ever tried the original or one of the reformulated versions by the time I was old enough to wear makeup. So, yeah, you know, just something that I thought was interesting. And then the Sisley lip balms. Let's talk about those. So the Sisley lip balms, these are the Fido lip balms. And I have to say, they are very expensive for what you get. You have 3 grams of product. They retail for $65 US. They are made in Italy, but I have to say, you know, I don't regret purchasing these. I know that these are ones that I will wear and I will use up till they're gone. I love the Sisley lip balm formula. This is not the same as that in the tub. It's also not the same as the Fido lip shines. The Fido lip shines have more of that thicker, glossier texture, more like a lipstick, whereas this is definitely a more toned down lip balm feeling to it. It's kind of in between those two formulas, in my opinion, closer to the nutritive lip formula, but it doesn't have that same, like the nutritive lip formula, in my opinion, has like something that feels like it's really locking in that moisture. This feels more balmy than that. So according to Sisley, it says, packed with softness and hydration, Fido Lip Balm, Sisley's plumping lip balm, moisturizes the lips with an instant beautifying effect and a long-lasting feeling of comfort. Its melting sensorial texture is combined with a skincare-infused formula enveloping lips with a fine, smoothing film for fuller, more beautiful lips. Immediately, lips are visibly smooth and more radiant. Now, they go on to talk about some of their key ingredients and so forth. And I have to say, so far, I'm really agreeing with everything they say. You put it on, you have this nice, comfortable, texture or film on your lips, and you really only need one swipe to get that. It's comfortable from the get-go. It doesn't feel, sometimes when you take a lip balm, you know, they have so many waxes in there that it feels like you need to go back and forth a few times. That's not true here. It's a really nicely balanced mixture of waxes and oils. So it's not too oily, it's not too waxy. And that's one of the things that I really like about it. Now we do have the clear shade and we have the rosewood shade, but then the pink shade again is your pH adaptive shade. So that's going to give you a custom color depending on, you know, what your lip chemistry does with that, moisture level and so forth. Now for me, you can see it turns to a soft, warm pink. It's not overly warm. It's more of a neutral warm. And I have to say, I think it's a really pretty shade. But my most used is probably still going to be the clear because it's one that I've been putting on like at night and everything as well. But the rosewood is my personal favorite. The lip balm is refillable. They are selling the refills. They clip out like this. Now let's just take, this is our lip balm packaging here. Let's take one of the Fetal Lip Shines and see whether or not they are interchangeable in the packaging, because the packaging looks to be exactly the same. And yep, it is the same. So if you happen to have a Fetal Lip Shine that you have used up and you don't want to purchase a full lip balm, but you want to try it out, you might want to consider, you know, purchasing one of the refills. So just something to note there. Now, another difference from the Fetal Lip Shine packaging, you can see that it's pretty much exactly the same, except for the top. The lip balms have a pink S, whereas the lip shines have a red S. So now that we've been sitting with the Mob, you can see it's actually still creamy where I built that up. So that's still smudging a little bit. But over here where we had that line, yeah, it's still smudging a bit. But it does actually set down. I have tested that, but perhaps my hand is just a little too oily with all of the makeup and everything I've been using on here. But it does set if you don't put anything on it. If you mix it with some oils, you know, my experience hasn't been as long wearing as the claims. So overall, I hope everything here has been helpful. Let's just do a quick summation. We started off with the Sweed Miracle Powder. And again, you can use this as a powder foundation like I have on here, as a setting powder or a finishing powder. I personally really love it buffed in softly on top of foundation as a finishing powder. I think it's really beautiful. And, you know, I love the fact that they do have some different shades. So you can, if you're using it lightly like that, you know, you definitely have a lot of flexibility in the shades. So I think that's a great product that was sent to me, but that's one that I would purchase. So I really do like that. The Armani Bronzer, I think it's a beautiful formula. I think it's got a really nice sheen to it if you're looking for something shimmery for a bronzer. But this particular shade 90 is a little bit too warm toned for me. So it's not one that I love, although I do like the formula. And again, it's huge though. So if you don't use bronzer very often, it's probably not worth it. If you are somebody who uses bronzer a lot, you know, then these oversized ones make a bit more sense. Now, the Viseart palette was also sent to me. I have to say, I love this palette. I wasn't sure I'd like it as much as I actually do, but it is definitely becoming a favorite. It's one that I've been using a lot. It's one that I reach for, you know, on the weekends when I'm just doing a light look and running around and I don't have time to film. So this is definitely one of my non-filming staples. So I love this palette. And then we also looked at the new Bobbi Brown eyeliners, and I have to say, I really like these. I hope that they bring out some more colors, but I will probably pick up one or two of the staple colors. There's a gray that's described as a brown gray that I'm interested in trying as well. So yeah, I really like these a lot. I would definitely pick these up. I'd love to see some shimmery shades from them in this formula as well. And then the Mob Beauty Lip Pencil in M1990. I think this is a really beautiful shade. I can see why MAC Spice became a classic. It's a shame that MAC changed it over the years because I think it would do really well in its original color. The formula is very easy to use, very creamy. I will probably be using this more as all over color versus using it in any other application of the lip pencil, just because I do find that although it is waterproof and it stays put, I do like to top my lip pencils and I don't have as much wear then. So I think something like the Sisley lip pencil or the Esam lip pencils, although I think they are reformulating those, but those are ones that like hold up better for me underneath other products. And then the Sisley lip balms. I absolutely love these. They're comfortable. You know, you get a little bit of color. Doesn't really feel like you have anything on, but they're moisturized. And yeah, you know, there is a fragrance, by the way. We have that vanilla fragrance that we have like in the Fido Lip Shines. So just something to note there. And yeah, I would definitely pick those up again though. So thank you so much for watching. Please share your thoughts on these products down below in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day.